So you've had your first visit to the office. We talked about a bunch of different things, including that the structure is super important to make sure it's in the right position, because if your body's not in the right position, it can't feel and function well. So part of what we're doing in your next visit, in addition to talking about your findings and providing potential solutions, is we're going to be giving you that very first adjustment. What I want to do is give you a quick overview about what that adjustment looks like, because the technique we do in this office is called NUCCA, N-U-C-C-A. I'm going to include a link to the NUCCA organization in this email as well. But it's a different perspective than what a lot of people have either experienced for chiropractic before or have heard about chiropractic. So what most people have either experienced or heard of is more of like a thrusting kind of adjustment. So we're feeling the individual joints throughout the spine. If something's not moving correctly, boom, you give it that adjustment. So it's really about that motion, and it's looking at the spine at a level by level basis. Now, NUCCA has a different perspective in that it's really looking at the spine as a whole functional unit. So from NUCCA's perspective, we see that it's impossible to move one bone in the spine without moving everything else. The head and the neck we see drives a lot of spine position and body posture. So the head weighing 10 to 15 pounds is about the weight of a bowling ball. If that's twisting and turning, shoulders will have to hunch up, body will start leaning over, one hip will come up higher than the other. And this again is where a lot of people feel frustrated, because I feel like I have like 8 different things going on. But again, we see that they're very, very interconnected. So what we did is we took the 3D images, and I took a bunch of detailed calculations in terms of where your head position's at. There's also a top bone in the neck called the atlas bone. This is the really blown up version so you can see. But essentially it sits right at the top of the neck, and your skull sits on top of it. So for some people it'll be twisting or turning, it'll be rotating one way or the other. And what that does is it's going to create a snake bite, both in terms of where the head is sitting and on actually the nerves that control your body's posture. So again, this is where a lot of people have one side that pulls tight than the other on a considerable basis. And then we also have the neck underneath. So there's 3 players in the game. We want the head over the neck, and we want that top bone in the neck, the atlas, to be sitting as a nice level table. And again, that's going to provide the most room for the nerves to operate in. It's going to feel the best for the joints, and it's going to leave the muscles with the least amount of tension. So it's all based on the measurements. The actual adjustment happens here at the top part of the spine. So again, right at that atlas bone, that's where we're contacting. The side of that bone sits right here behind your ear, and it provides a really great vantage point for us because it connects both with the spine below and the skull above. So by introducing an adjustment at the right angle, we're actually able to influence all 3 at the same time: the neck, the atlas, and the skull. Now, the perspective, again, is different than what most people have had previously. The other thing that's going to be different is the adjustment itself. So we already kind of talked about a lot of chiropractic adjustments are more of this kind of thing where you're introducing the adjustment at the individual level and looking for that motion. So because we're looking to balance 3 things at the same time, the other big thing that we don't want to do is introduce either too much or too little force. So NUCCA has come up with a really cool way to actually deliver the adjustment to accomplish all of those goals. The first thing we're going to do is we have a special headpiece. So based on your particular misalignment, I'm going to position the head and neck so it's in the most favorable position to move, using gravity to assist us. So for example, a lot of people have head tilt like this. If we can lay you on your side, gravity's already going to start pulling you back into a better position to get that head in a more neutral spot. So what's going to happen is I'm going to come up, and the adjustment is super, super gentle. And the reason is because instead of using a big thrusting force, we're using something called transductive force. And the idea here is very similar to what you would see with a pendulum ball on an office desk. So we've all seen those balls one after the next. First one comes up, it hits the ones in the middle, and the last one kicks off. The idea is the exact same. So what happens is I lock my hands into place. I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together in the back. But since the hands are locked into place, they're not moving, and it generates that force tension down into the neck. So what happens is once I've generated enough force between my shoulder blades, your spine and head will start to move into the correct position. And as soon as everything gets into the correct alignment, my hands are no longer on the neck anymore, so there's a built-in safety there. So it's a really cool way to deliver the force, and again, make sure that not only will we not want to deliver not enough force, but make sure we're not delivering too much force, because either one of those can throw things off or potentially create a new misalignment. So being able to control the amount of force going in we can make sure that we're getting that movement to occur, and then we're not introducing anything more after that. The most unique part about this adjustment is how gentle it is. Because my hands and your neck are like those balls in the middle, there's really not a whole lot of movement that's taking place, and for you it feels about like you're having your pulse taken. Again, the cool part is we can create all the movement we need to without having to do big thrusting force. So we'll talk more at your appointment. Bring any questions you have. That's the overview for NUCCA. It's going to be super gentle. It's going to be super specific to your particular misalignment. Again, check out NUCCA.org if you have any additional questions about the technique. And there's some great stuff on the research for NUCCA as well. So thanks again. Looking forward to seeing you at your next appointment.